Hey there, fellow social media marketers, Professor Walters here, and today we're in Tirana, Albania, and today we're going to talk about are the different types of influencers that businesses can work with. And when we talk about types of influencers, you're basically looking at their reach, kind of like their subscriber numbers, their follower numbers, because honestly, depending on the size of the influencer, will make a big impact on what you can do and what you should do, and also which influencers you should use. Because you know what? You don't always want to have the mega huge influencers with millions of subscribers. Sometimes you want one that has a few thousand that can really talk to your audience and really reach out to them. Okay, so I want to kind of give you an idea of the basics out there. And there's kind of like 4 basic levels, I would say, of different types of influencers. Okay, so we'll start from the smallest. The smallest one are what we call nano influencers. This is basically, let's say under 10,000 followers. Maybe they have 1,000 followers. Maybe they have 700 followers. Maybe they have 8,000 followers. But there's about 8,000 followers there. And the nano ones, they can be very helpful because they engage a lot. They're talking because look, I've only got 1,000 followers, so therefore I can answer every question that comes in, right? So that can be very helpful. Next up, you have what are called micro influencers, and that's from 10,000 to 100,000 subscribers or followers in their social media. Okay, and they're great for niche marketing. Okay, and it's very cost effective because they're not super huge, but they have that niche in there, so it can really give a good bang for your buck. Next up, we have macro influencers, and these are basically 100,000 to 1,000,000 followers, so they're getting pretty big. They've got a good audience, a good niche. They have some really good brand authority, but they're not super expensive yet because they're not super huge. So you can work with them at an affordable rate. And what's nice is they have a nice balance of the reach you're going to get, but also engagement, because they're not too big. Because what happens when you get to the mega level, or sometimes they call it celebrity level of influencers, this is where you have over 1,000,000 followers. And with over 1,000,000 followers, it is like a celebrity status, but the thing is the engagement goes down. Because if you're watching Mr. Beast, he's not commenting back on all of his thousands and thousands and millions of comments he gets every day. So therefore, for some businesses, I want more engagement. I need them to answer questions or say hi. The big channels, it doesn't always work that way. But the thing is, those mega channels, those celebrity channels, they have very high reach because they're reaching millions. I mean, Mr. Beast has got literally hundreds of millions of followers on all these different platforms, and that can mean a lot. And so if we go through these, and we're going to go backwards, so we're going from the mega influencers working backwards, okay? So those mega influencers, one of their big strengths they have, it's just massive cross-demographic reach. Like, they're getting young people, they're getting old people, they're getting middle-aged people, they're getting all the people out there just because they have such a large following, and that can be very helpful. And the thing is, when you work with them, you get high brand awareness because people know the Mr. Beast. They know the million subscriber channels. Like, for example, my Walters World Travel channel works really well because I have people from 18-year-olds that are going to study abroad to 108-year-olds that are going on cruises, right? So there's this whole wide group that's there. Now, that could be a con as well because it's almost too broad, but it's something to kind of think about. But the thing is, when you have that high brand awareness that people know that it's out there, it gives you automatic credibility when you work with them. Oh, you're working with Walters World. They're the OG of travel. That's going to be helpful. Oh, you're working with Vsauce. Wow, they're like super cool. Like, you have those things out there when you have these big, huge channels that can be helpful in terms of getting the trust level that they have out with you. That's why for those mega influencers, sometimes it's really good if you're like a luxury brand trying to get things out there, or a premium brand, you want to be associated with the premium creators, right? That's why when you think about the old celebrity marketing things, when you have your celebrity spokesman, you wanted the Tom Cruise, you wanted the Brad Pitts because they were the high level kind of things. It works the same way here. And the thing is, they really fit well. The mega influencers help with like the big budget things, like, hey, we want to get everybody out there, we want to get that awareness out there, we want people to know it's out there because they're going to have the reach for it. Right, they're going to have all kinds of demographics. It might be the niche you want, but they're going to get to so many people that it kind of makes up for it in that effect, okay? That's why they work very well for global audiences, okay, and global product launches, so that could be really good. Now, if we move down a bit, that 1,000,000 to 100,000 follower group, that is the macro influencers. My buddy, John Barr from Here Be Bar, fantastic New York vlogger. If you're going to New York, he's got tons of stuff on what to see and do, but what his big thing is, the food of New York. He is like an expert at it. Goes to all the places from TikTok viral spots to like 5-star restaurants, all kinds of things. All right. Now, the thing is, when you're looking at those macro influencers, what are their strengths? What are they doing well? Well, one, they have a strong niche. I mean, think about John Barr. He is New York travel. Like, when people talk about New York travel vloggers, he is one of the ones that's right there. Okay. So they have that authority, that strong niche that's there. And the thing is, that strong niche also gives them domain authority. If he's doing a New York video, people know it's legit. And so you can use that to your advantage. Okay. Now, the thing is, if we're looking at these macro influencers, they also have a wide reach, but it's a moderate cost because they're not the celebrity status. they're the next level down. So you can pay them less than you do have to pay the big boys, right? And so the big boys and girls and those big channels, right? So that can be helpful for your bottom line. And the thing is, where they have the best fit, like where these macro influencers really work, you're looking at rapid growth brands. Like, hey, look, we want to grow fast. We got something going on. That's why John is fantastic. If there's like a restaurant that wants like, hey, we want a viral thing, or we're going viral, can you come? They're going to have him come, and he'll go there. They don't pay him. He goes to do this stuff because he knows, hey, this fits with my audience. It's really good. So they're growing fast. And so that can be very helpful because you have that kind of niche at an affordable rate. You want to get it out there as much more as you can. Boom, that can be helpful. Also, if you have regional campaigns, that can be helpful because, like I said, John, he's like New York City, but the whole New York area kind of knows what's going on with him. So it can give you a regional thing. So if like the New York Port Authority wants to do something, he would be something they'd want to work with because he's really known in that region. So these influencers are very big, like in travel and lifestyle bloggers and vloggers, tech kind of things. Those ones there, easy to work with, low price, so that can be very helpful. Now, going down the next level down, we're looking at our micro influencers. Now, our micro influencers, that would be like this, Professor Walters, between 10,000 and 100,000 followers, right? Now, what's great here is you have high engagement. Look, I don't get too many comments on Professor Walters, so when I do, I'm answering them as much as I can. Sue, one of our users, she's one of the commenters all the time on Professor Walters. Like, we have this relationship back and forth because we engage when people do. That's what's really great about these micro influencers. They're getting bigger, but they're still connecting with their audience all the time, or most of the time. So that high engagement and audience trust, like we're friends, really helps get that connection. So you have more trust there. That's why when you're looking at this, they're affordable, they're authentic because they're really like, hey, this is me doing this. I'm not making a lot of money. I'm just doing this to help out. I'm doing to share information. So you get that really good authentic vibe when you work with these, micro influencers. And that's why they work really good for personalized recommendations. That's why when you're looking at it, brands are like, hey, look, share your story using our hair care products, or our beard products out there because you have a beard. People know you for your beard and your less than stellar hair amounts on the top of your head. Talk about your story and that personal connection you have. The micro influencers have really helped the product sell. So that's why they can be a really good, person or influencer to use if you're a product looking for these kind of niches. And so that's where they fit best. Niche markets, right? Small, medium-sized businesses, you can afford to work with these ones because they're not asking for the moon. Sometimes you're just asking for a free product or just a little bit of a payout, and they'll be good to talk with you. Maybe just do an affiliate program. I mean, that's the nice thing with it. They're not looking for a lot to do something. And that's why if you're using the micro influencers, I think it's a really good idea to use this for brands that are really prioritizing engagement because we want people to talk about our product. We want people to answer the questions, these kind of things, because it's a lot easier to manage when you're only getting, you got 50,000 followers, you're getting maybe, a couple dozen comments, a couple hundred comments, whatever. Like you can manage that versus like I said, a Mr. Beast with millions of comments a day. It's not going to happen. We want that engagement. So therefore, those micro influencers can be super helpful. And then there's the nano influencers. And here's the thing: people think, oh, I'm too small. I won't make money. No one wants to work with me. Wrong, 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 wrong. Those nano influencers, those less than 10,000. Okay. So for example, I have a toy review channel, Yojo Reviews. It's got like 1,000 followers, maybe. I mean, not too many. But when you think about it, those small channels, they do have some strengths from a business perspective. One thing you want to look at, it is very highly personal, very much personal interaction. It's people telling their stories. They're first coming out. They're talking about, hey, here's the G.I. Joes I liked as a kid, and here they are today. It's middle-aged bald guys talking to each other. Look, middle-aged bald guy talking to each other with the beard, overweight, with the gut. Yes, that is who I am. Therefore, you have much more connection right there with these smaller nano influencers, okay? That's why they can be super good for hyper-local stuff. So usually if you have these small influencers, it could just be the small influencer in your town that goes to local restaurants. Well, if I'm the new, ice cream shop in town, I want that local celebrity. That's why you always had the local celebrity, the weather guy or the weather lady would come and, do the opening of the TCBY or the Baskin Robbins. It's the same thing here. They're a locally known nano influencer or nano celebrity, and that can be very good because they're known in that little niche. And the thing is, when I say it hyper local, it can be hyper local in terms of your location, but it can be hyper local in terms of hyper focus in that niche. Like, oh, they're the ones that really focus on the Thomas the Tank Engine kind of toys, and we want to focus on those. So like my toy channel focuses just on G.I. Joe classified toys, the new ones, right? And so it's just that one specific audience. It's super focused. We're not talking about Transformers or Ben 10 or Pokemon. No. Toronto, we're just focused on this one thing. So you have that hyper localized, hyper niche focus when you're working those micro influencers, so local businesses, they're going to be very helpful for you. If you're a community driven initiative, hey, we want to get people just in our community to do something, those nano influencers are going to be very, very helpful. Also, if you're cost sensitive, look, if they're this small, they're just happy to get free stuff. So you can give them a free software if you have that. Send them a free package. I mean, heck, I tell people, like, you want me to open a toy? Send me a toy. I'll unbox it for free just to have the content, to have something. Because for these nano influencers, the fact they got to do an influencer program with a brand means a lot. It's that proof of concept that we can help sell products for another company, even though we're small, right? And so you have that. And if we start looking at these different influencers, the thing I want to talk about, there's different ways you kind of look at in terms of what's good and what's bad in terms of engagement rates. Like, what's a good engagement rate? Well, it depends on the size. So if you're looking at those nano influencers, 8 to 15% engagement rate, that's really good. Like, hey, people are really engaging with them. That's fantastic. Whereas you'll notice as we go down, it gets less and less. So if we look at the micro ones, that engagement rate, a good engagement rate, drops down to 6 to 12%. And then going down farther from there, you look at the macro ones, maybe 4 to 9%, 10% is a good engagement rate. And then if you look at the mega ones, 2 to 6%, 2 to 8%. That's a good engagement. Like, wait, they're getting less and less, but they're more famous. But again, those smaller ones, people are going to write back to you and comment. When you comment, you're more likely to leave a comment. Whereas if it's a big channel, what's the point? They're never going to see my comment. They're never going to respond to it. So I'm not even going to do it. So that's why it's going to be very different. That's why you want more engagement, you go for the smaller ones. You don't care about engagement, you're looking for reach, then you go for the bigger ones. And if you're looking at the average and bad versions of all these things, I mean, just think about just underneath that good average is your average one, and then the bad ones. If you're thinking about it, anything below 5% on those nano influencers is kind of a bad engagement rate. If you're looking at the micros below 3%, macros below 2%, if you're looking at the big ones, the mega channels, the celebrity ones, if they've got less than 1% engagement rate, that's maybe some of you don't want to work with because they're not giving enough kind of bang for the buck. They're not getting that engagement. If engagement's what you're looking for, and that's what you have to realize, is the number is going to be very much different. That's why no matter which one or which type of influencer you work with, you want to make sure you ask them, hey, can you send me your numbers for the last 90 days? Not the last week, not the last month, give me the last 90 days, because then I have a better idea of what's going on, right? So you can see that there's jumps, there's dips, there's all kinds of stuff. You want to have that to make it easier for you to make a better judgment of who you should work with, okay? But on this, I just want to kind of give you the overall idea of the different types of influencers that are out there. Now, I will say sometimes they say what's called a mid-tier influencer that's 500,000 to $1 million. There is that, but I kind of put those together with the macro influencers from that 100,000 to $1 million, kind of put it in there together because you have that there. And the thing is, when you're looking at this kind of reach that people have, the followers they have, it's not just on one platform. You sometimes want to look at all the platforms that are out there and take that together, because you might want them to put it on all the platforms. However, if you don't, I would only look at the platform you want them to use and ask for the numbers on that. All right, so I hope this helps you know a bit more about the different types of influencers you could be working with. If you want to learn more, hit that subscribe button. If you want best practices for working with influencers, or if you're an influencer and want to know the best practices for you with working with brands, hit that subscribe button because we have videos to help you out. Anyway, I wish you all the best. I'll say bye from here in Tirana, Albania.